Hi, I'm Hugh Whitmore. I'm an author, and today I'm talking about one of my nonfiction titles, The Christian Leadership Experience. And in the book, there's a lot of good tips and advice on leadership and success, but one of the areas I didn't touch on too much was negotiation, which is a great skill to have in life. And this kind of ties into my presentation on wealth building, which you can look for and watch also. And wealth building, like negotiation, are skills that are good across all areas of your life, whether it's business, your personal life, your work life if you work for somebody, and something to be proud of and to work into your life and help you accumulate wealth over time. They also give you great confidence in approaching all sorts of money matters. So let's take a look at negotiation, the basics. Let's start with number one, which is always do your homework. And what that means is you want to study the thing you're buying or selling to know the market of that thing. And what is the market? So a good example is buying a house. This is well known. So people who are real estate brokers will get comparable sales or purchase values of homes, square foot values, look at different amenities, and you get to know the market for the type of home you can afford. So what you want to know, though, the key is not just the market, but what is the direction of the market? What is the supply and demand in the market? This is something you want to know. So, for example, you can look at the last 60 or 90 days of comparable sales data on a home, but where is the market perceived to be going? Because that's going to color your negotiations quite a bit. If you're in a rising market, then you're going to have to hurry your purchase, and you're going to have to buy now rather than later, and it's going to color what the perceptions are of the seller and what they think they have to concede on the house, because there's always something wrong with the house that will need some repairs. So what the market is, do your homework, and know the direction of the market. And this is true in the other common areas of purchases too. A car, for example. If you're buying a car and it's the best-selling car in America, the chances of you getting a discount on that car, unless there are some like dealership incentives or particular manufacturers' incentives in general, the chances of getting a discount or a steep discount on the best-selling car in America is less than if there's a car that isn't the highest-selling car in America. That's something to consider. Also, the inventory at the time of purchasing a car, you can look these things up. They have statistics on the best day of the week, the best time of the month, and always look to those things. Do your homework, know the market, and know where the market is going, and that'll help you negotiate large purchases like a house and a car. But this is even true of little things like going to a restaurant. A lot of restaurants have frequent diner programs and discounts, and you can get discounts for your first time there. That's very often businesses do that a lot, first visitor coupon sort of thing. And but if you're going to the busiest restaurant in town with an hour wait every evening, the chances of getting a discount aren't as great as some other things. So know your market, know where you're going, do your homework. You can almost never do too much research on the market of something, especially on a large purchase. Okay, so do your homework, number one. Secondly, think in terms of value and not price. Price, of course, is a limit of your money you can spend on something or the money you've budgeted for something. But when you think of it as value, that will help you very much to disassociate yourself emotionally from the thing and find out, well, what's the value here? A house is a good example of this. For example, you might find different value in a house if your employer is moving you for 2 years to another city, and you might just want to get something as decent as you can, as safe area as you can, but close to work. It might not be a house that you would think of for your long future. You might even buy a house that's a condo you might not normally consider because you have children or something like that, where the value in the temporary nature of something isn't as great as the long-term nature. So say you move back to your hometown after that 2-year stint or 3-year stint, you come back, the value in your home is going to be near your school for your kids, or maybe near the freeway that you might have to commute to, a combination of factors and lifestyle things, or near something where you grew up even, So the value in that house is something that you're consider. You may look all around town and like to go back to the neighborhood you grew up in, maybe. There's great value in certain things, the longevity of the house, the amenities, things. Look to things that mean value to you. I've bought a number of houses in my lifetime and lived in them and resold them. I had a long career in real estate, and always I fulfilled that function for our family, where I was buying and selling our own real estate. And I had different reasons for houses. Sometimes when I was young, before I got married, I had houses I was just trying to buy and fix up and resell later. And but when I got married, we had different things in mind. Now we need a room for kids. And then when we got along in life, and we're empty nesters now, I bought a house that meant a lot to me for the place I was going to live till the end of my life. And it had great value to me. And it was the one house I purchased in my life where I paid what I thought was a little too much, because it was in the neighborhood I wanted. It was adjacent to some open space that meant a lot to me. I'm a runner and I run out there. There was just great value in this house. And when I saw it, I walked into it and I started sweating. I was so exciting. I was so excited. And but I pretended to be calm, and I didn't get emotionally attached to the thing. And I went through a process of considering the valuation, and I paid what is a little too much for a house. But that was almost 4 years ago, and the value in this house remains the same to me. And so that's value as opposed to price. If I had gone strictly on price, it was a little bit much per square foot based on the comparable values I knew to be true from the neighborhood. But the value was high to me. Consider your value, and that'll help you know where you're going to give and take on a house or a car, or even when you're buying something, going to a restaurant. You may pay a little more for something you go to specially once a year. We go to a special restaurant once a year on Christmas Eve. You may do this or have a special reunion place you like to go, but saving money and negotiating is typically done not in places where you're emotionally attached. Okay, so value, think about value. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing on value. A great value when you're buying a car may actually be in something you really need, like a truck. A truck may not as be practical, but the value could be in a business you have, or something to have a business on the side, or to move yourself, or to be able to move things and not pay delivery fees. So there's a function of value I forgot to mention with value. Okay, so that's value. Now let's get into some general thoughts about negotiation, which is some of the things to always, keep up your sleeve, under your hat. Remember, first of all, I've already alluded to this, never get emotionally attached in a negotiation. I suppose there are some things where you can never say never, but that's a hard and fast rule. If you become emotionally attached, you're not going to be thinking clearly, and you're not going to know when to quit bidding for something. It's almost like gambling. You never know when to quit. You never quit when you're ahead. So never become emotionally attached. Keep your cool. Know when to say no. Know what your limits are ahead of time. You've done your homework. Know what your budget is, and think of your value. And then don't get emotionally attached, and move on to number 2, which is there's a powerful thing that always remember, and this ties in with value, ties in with knowing your limits, is you always have the power of no in a negotiation. It's your most powerful word. As a seller, you can just always say, no, not for me, I'll move on, we'll pass on this one. And as a buyer, you can always say, oh, I appreciate it. It's a beautiful thing. I appreciate your time, but it's not for me. And always you can say no and walk away. And that goes for a house, it goes for a car, it goes for a restaurant. You can walk into an establishment, look at those prices and say, this is nice, but maybe another time we'll go to a cheaper place. There's good food down the road. And always have no in your repertoire. It will help you in negotiation. Okay, so here's another thing. There's never an amount of money that's too small to argue over. And what I mean is, I've had the occasion through a real estate career to be negotiating for things that were 100,000 or 200,000 when I began my career, up to 3, 4, 500,000. And I was in commercial properties for a while, owned some and helped others buy and sell some, and selling in the millions. For me, that was up to 3, 4 million was the most, but some people do much larger deals than that. And so there's always somebody on the other side of the table who's going to try to nickel and dime you. And so if you're at a flea market and you're looking at a $10 item, that might be $1 or $2. That's worth arguing over. If you're arguing about a $100,000 thing, it might be a couple $1,000. And if you're arguing over a $2, $3 million thing, that might be 50 grand. These are all amounts of money that you should never let go by. Always argue over every dollar, because always remember this. If somebody came up to you at that flea market and said, here's $2, would you like to have this out of the goodness of my heart? You would say, yeah, give me the $2. If you had $1,000 that somebody said they'd give you, you're arguing over 100,000 and 1,000 is being argued about, well, yeah, you'd take the $1,000. And if you're arguing over 3 million and you think 10,000 or 15,000 is paltry at that level, you're not a good negotiator. You're not thinking sanely. Is at that 10 grand, if somebody came up to you and handed it to you on the street, you'd take. And so always remember, there's no amount of money too small or too big to argue over, negotiate over. Okay. Also, here's a rule, another hard and fast rule. Never, ever, ever threaten anybody or anything in a negotiation. And I don't mean we're talking like organized crime, threatening. What I mean is, let's say you're negotiating something through work or your business, and you're making a purchase, or you're a buyer, or it's your job to procure something for your business or the business you are employed at. And so you're talking to this person you've known for a long time, and you say, Bob, I want to give you this contract. I want to buy this from you. I want you to be my vendor. But, if you don't give me this price, I'm going to go to your competitor. I'm never going to do business with you again. Never, ever, ever threaten anybody with anything. You can, however, say things that you are willing to do by your homework and your thoughts of value. So you can say, Bob, your competitor, Mr. B over here, you're Mr. A and competitor's Mr. B, and he did offer me this price. Now, I don't know if he's going to give it to me, but Bob, if you don't do this, I'll have to go to him. You always want to be apologetic when you talk about moving away, and you don't want to hammer people. You want to gently use techniques to move them into the place you hope them to go, but never threaten. Always leave that door open ajar, because you may have to crawl back to Bob. You may go to that other competitor who promised you that price on the phone, and when it comes down to that contract, he won't give it to you. Or all of a sudden, he tells you about a fee that the company added on that he didn't tell you about before. There's another thing, too. That's one of the hardest things to remember and to keep in mind. You doing your homework, thinking about value is, in business and in negotiating, people are lying all the time. And if you're not ready to confront the fact that people are going to lie to you, you're not going to be a good negotiator, and you're going to have trouble in business in general. And so you have to learn to let that roll over you and have thick skin about, and deal with a smile, and use it to your advantage. This is something I learned in business a long time ago. I got so sick of people lying to me, so that I would go about that with a technique, which is that once you find that somebody's lying to you, and this is a good thing to remember in a house, sellers always lie about their property. They're in it, they know everything about it, but they lie to you. And so how do you determine those lies? How do you discover those? Well, you get inspections. And you find that they're lying, that, this thing has been broken. You can tell it's been broken for 5 years. They knew it, now you know it. And so you have to say, well, I'm really disappointed about this, and I found out about this, and now you're going to still have to bear with this defect. And when you go back and put it on the market, if you don't sell it to me, so you need to reduce the price to cover this thing. So again, use that thing about the lying, and just roll with it. Do it, cover it with a smile, but then dig in a little deeper and try to get something out of it in your negotiation. Here's another good rule. You might have heard this one. It's kind of cliche, but it works, which is never state the price first when you're trying to buy something. Never say, I'll pay you X for something, and never go with your price first. Let the seller always go first with their price, because that sets the value to them. They're setting a value on something. And so if by their first price that you're miles apart, You can say, well, sorry, it's not for me. Or if you know you're closer, or they set a value, a price that's way below what you thought, always learn this, which ties to another thing, is never get excited. Don't get excited. When somebody gives you a concession like that in a negotiation, they go with their price first. You go to that flea market and you look at this thing and you go, wow, I know this is a vintage, I don't know, or REO flyer or something, and you go, I know what this is worth. It's worth, pick a number, it's worth $200. And they say, I'm tired, I want to get this junk out of my garage for $50. You don't want to go, whoa, really? That's great, Whenever you get a concession, you say, wonderful. And what you do is you move immediately to the next point of business, which is, okay, let me get my cash out of my car, I'll be right back. That you never show excitement when you get something out of a negotiation, when you get a benefit to you. Just let it roll by. Oh, great. Okay. Appreciate it. Let me get my wallet. We'll take care of it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Because somebody sets a price and you give them the money, they're happy and you're happy. And that is the best negotiation, where both parties leave happy. And that's what you should be moving towards. And sometimes that thing about not getting excited goes with another axiom of mine in business, which is if somebody wants to give you money in business, take it. If you're selling something, you have a business, or you're selling something in your private life, and they come and they want to pay you, take it. That's great. They want to pay you full price. They don't haggle. Take the money. Don't feel guilty. Don't say anything. Just take the money. That's life. Some people are better negotiators than others, and I hope you'll become one of them and use all these principles. And so use the big ones, which is do your homework and know your market and know the direction of your market. Focus on value and not price, and that'll help you to stay detached. Use the great common denominators and common techniques. Don't get emotionally attached. No amount of money is too small to argue over, to debate over. Always be ready to say no. Keep that in your repertoire. Try to never state in the price first. Never threaten anybody. Leave that door open to a reconciliation if you have to come back there. If you get a concession, just let it roll off you and just keep moving forward. And just don't comment and move forward. And you'll be a good negotiator. And weave it into your life like you weave in your wealth building principles. And in the end, you'll be way ahead, and you'll be confident, and you'll be able to step up, and you'll be able to counter a good negotiator when you meet one.